Commander Jessica Iron Hand Reeves stood at the command center of the United Earth Defense Station, Aegis, her steel-gray eyes fixed on the holographic display of today's defense drill. The massive station, humanity's pride and first line of defense, hung in high Earth orbit like a gleaming sword pointed at the stars. Alpha Squadron, tighten up that formation, she barked into the comm. The Aegis isn't some backwater outpost. We run precision drills here. Her reputation for perfectionism had earned her the nickname Iron Hand, but it had also made the Aegis crew the best in the solar system. Lieutenant Morris's voice crackled through the speakers. Commander, we're picking up something strange at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. 3 signatures, moving fast. Really fast. Reeves's hand instinctively moved to the command console. Show me. The holographic display shifted, revealing 3 vessels breaking through the defensive perimeter at speeds that made Earth's fastest ships look like ancient sailing vessels. Their design was entirely alien, organic curves mixed with crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with internal energy. Battle stations, Reeves ordered, her voice calm but sharp. Red alert klaxons filled the station's corridors. Get me Earth Command. And somebody wake up Admiral Chen. He'll want to see this. But before Earth Command could respond, the strange vessels did something unexpected. They slowed. Not the gradual deceleration of normal space travel, but an impossible halt that seemed to bend the laws of physics themselves. Commander, Lieutenant Morris's voice had risen an octave. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. In English. Put it through. The voice that filled the command center was unlike anything Reeves had ever heard. Multiple tones layered together, as if several beings were speaking in perfect harmony. Station Aegis, this is the combined refugee fleet of the Luminary, Vextal, and Meridian civilizations. We come seeking asylum. Please, we have nowhere else to go. Reeves's training kicked in. This is Commander Jessica Reeves of the United Earth Defense Station Aegis. Maintain your position and prepare to be boarded for verification. Understood, Commander, the harmonic voice replied. But please hurry. They're hunting us. 20 minutes later, Reeves stood in the station's main diplomatic chamber, watching as the airlock cycled open. Her security team stood ready, fingers near triggers, as the delegation emerged. The sight made even veteran officers gasp. 3 beings entered, each more extraordinary than the last. The first seemed to be made of living crystal, its transparent body housing swirling galaxies of bioluminescent particles. The second moved like liquid mercury given form, its surface reflecting the chamber's lights in impossible ways. The third appeared almost human at first glance, until you noticed the fractal patterns moving across its skin, and the fact that its eyes held what looked like miniature nebulae. But what struck Reeves wasn't their alien nature, it was their condition. The crystal being had deep cracks running through its form, poorly sealed with some kind of metallic compound. The mercury-like creature's surface was marred with dark patches that pulsed like bruises. The humanoid's fractal skin showed burn patterns that seemed to defy its natural healing. These weren't just refugees. They were survivors of something terrible. Commander Reeves, the crystalline being, spoke, its voice creating the harmonic effect they'd heard earlier. We represent species far more advanced than humanity in many ways. Our civilization spanned galaxies while your people were learning to make fire. It paused, its internal lights dimming slightly. And yet here we stand, begging for your protection. Because you have something we lost long ago, something that makes you uniquely qualified to save us all. Reeves felt a chill run down her spine. And what would that be? The being's response would change human history forever. The willingness to fight when the odds are impossible. The strength to stand when the universe itself seems to demand you kneel. We need humanity's defiance. In the Aegis's secure briefing room, Commander Reeves watched the holographic replay for the 3rd time. The footage, extracted from the refugees' data cores, showed the systematic destruction of worlds that had once been the crown jewels of their civilizations. Stop, She commanded as the recording showed a massive hegemony dreadnought, splitting a crystalline city dome like an eggshell. Enhanced Section 4 Alpha. The liquid metal refugee, who had introduced itself as Echo, rippled with distress. The hegemony's purification protocols are thorough. They consider any civilization that prioritizes art, philosophy, or individual expression over military efficiency to be evolutionary dead ends. The humanoid being, Nexus, stepped forward, its nebula eyes swirling with dark colors. But then we found this. It gestured, and the hologram shifted to new footage that made Reeves's breath catch. She recognized the battle immediately. The Jupiter defense of 2194, but this was from the other side's perspective. The hegemony probe fleet had appeared without warning, expecting an easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they'd encountered pure chaos. The recording showed human mining ships using their industrial-grade lasers as makeshift weapons. Civilian vessels performed suicidal rams that somehow worked because the enemy's predictive algorithms couldn't compute such irrational behavior. Maintenance drones had been reprogrammed on the fly to scatter debris in precise patterns, creating navigational nightmares for the invaders. Your people used mining explosives as weapons, the crystalline being Sarah commented. Its inner lights pulsed with what seemed like admiration. You turned your own asteroid belt into a weapon by detonating precisely calculated charges that created a cascade of impacts. The hegemony labeled it sanctioned insanity. Reeves remembered that day. She'd been a junior officer, watching humanity pull off the impossible through sheer determination and improvisation. We did what we had to do. Exactly. Nexus's skin rippled with excited fractals. That's what makes humans unique. The hegemony's strength is their absolute efficiency, their perfect protocols. But it's also their weakness. They cannot comprehend species that act outside their probability matrices. Echo moved closer to the hologram, its mercury surface reflecting the battle footage. We were like them once, so advanced that we forgot how to adapt. When the hegemony came, our weapons were superior, our shields stronger. But they kept coming, kept adapting their protocols until they found the mathematical solution to defeat us. But humans, Sarah continued, its crystalline form catching the light. Humans don't fight with protocols. You fight with instinct, with emotion, with what your military historians call controlled chaos. The hegemony's probe fleet retreated not because they were defeated militarily, but because they couldn't calculate their way to victory. Reeves studied the three beings before her. So you came to us not just for protection, but to learn this chaos. We came. Echo's surface rippled, forming complex patterns, because the galaxy needs what humanity has never lost, the ability to be gloriously unpredictable, to fight not just with technology, but with spirit. The hologram shifted again, showing massive fleets of hegemony ships advancing through space. They're expanding their purification protocols, Nexus explained, its nebula eyes darkening. Soon, they'll reach Earth. Whether you help us or not, they'll come. But together, Sarah finished, we might stand a chance. Your chaos combined with our technology. Your defiance merged with our knowledge. Reeves stood, her decision made. I'll take this to the council. But first, show me everything you have on the hegemony's tactics. If they want to purge chaos from the galaxy, we'll give them so much chaos they'll drown in it. The refugees exchanged looks that, despite their alien nature, Reeves recognized as hope. They had come seeking humanity's protection, only to discover something far more valuable: humanity's power to turn disadvantage into strength, to transform desperation into determination. The human paradox, it seemed, might be exactly what the galaxy needed. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from every major nation gathered for what might be humanity's most crucial vote. The holographic displays showed the refugee ships, still holding position near the Aegis, their damaged hulls a testament to their desperate journey. General Marcus Wade, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, stood at the podium, his weathered face tight with concern. "The math is simple, counselors. We barely survived one probe fleet. The hegemony's main force would obliterate us. And that's precisely why we should accept them." Dr. Isabella Torres, head of Earth's Advanced Technologies Division, countered. "Their technological knowledge could advance us centuries overnight. We're talking about FTL drives that make our best ships look like rowboats." Commander Reeves sat in the observation gallery, watching the debate unfold. Her secure tablet chirped, a message from her 16-year-old daughter, Maya. "Mom, you need to see this. Now." The attached video showed Maya in the Aegis' civilian sector, where refugee families were being temporarily housed. She was sitting with a young being that seemed to shift between solid and liquid states, a child of Echo's species. They were playing chess, of all things, the alien child manipulating the pieces with tendrils of its mercury-like form. "Check," the child said in perfect English, its surface rippling with what could only be described as joy. Maya laughed, knocking over her king. "Third time in a row. How did you learn so fast?" "Because you taught me to think beyond patterns," the child replied. "Like you said, sometimes the best move is the one that makes no sense." The video ended, and Reeves felt something shift in her understanding. While the council argued about military strategies and technological advantages, they were missing the point entirely. She stood, her movement drawing attention. "Commander Reeves," the council president acknowledged. "You have something to add." "Yes, sir." She strode to the podium, her boots echoing in the suddenly quiet chamber. "We're asking the wrong question. It's not about whether we can survive helping them. It's about whether we can survive becoming what the hegemony already is, a civilization that turns its back on those in need." She played Maya's video on the main display. "This is what the hegemony fears. Not our weapons or our tactics, but our ability to connect, to adapt, to teach and learn from those different from us. They call it chaos. We call it growth." The chamber erupted in murmurs as the video showed the human and alien children playing, learning, laughing together. "They came to us," Reeves continued, her voice stronger, "not just because we fought off a probe fleet, but because we still remember what their civilizations forgot. That true strength isn't about perfection or protocol. It's about facing impossible odds because it's right, about standing up when the universe tells you to kneel." She gestured to the refugee ships on display. "Yes, protecting them paints a target on Earth. But here's what the hegemony doesn't understand. We're at our best with our backs against the wall. They want to eliminate chaos from the galaxy. Let's show them what happens when humanity decides to protect something." The chamber fell silent. General Wade was the first to speak. "You're suggesting we become what? A sanctuary species?" "I'm suggesting we become what we've always been, the ones who stand up to bullies, the ones who fight not because we can win, but because we must." The voting took hours. Arguments raged about resources, military readiness, technological integration. But in the end, perhaps it was Maya's video that swayed them, the simple proof that humanity and these refugee species could not just coexist, but thrive together. The final tally appeared on the main display, 72% in favor. As Reeves left the chamber, her tablet chirped again. Another message from Maya. "Mom, guess what? We're teaching them Earth games, and they're teaching us games from their worlds. Some of them are like 10-dimensional chess. When are you coming back?" Reeves smiled, typing her reply. "Soon. We've got a lot of work to do. We're going to save the galaxy, kiddo." She paused, then added, "One chess game at a time." The massive cargo hold of the retrofitted colony ship New Horizon hummed with activity as Commander Reeves supervised the latest refugee integration. What had started as a desperate plea for help had evolved into humanity's most ambitious project, Operation Safe Haven. "Those environmental pods need to be at least 20 meters apart." She called out to the engineering team. "The luminary crystalline structures create resonance fields." She checked her tablet, where Sarah had provided detailed specifications for their species' needs. Dr. Torres approached, her usual lab coat now adorned with patches showing symbols of all 3 refugee species. "Commander, you need to see this. The hybrid tech team just cracked something incredible." In the makeshift laboratory section of the hold, Maya stood with Echo's child, whom everyone had started calling Ripple. They were working on what looked like a standard Earth construction drone, but its surface now rippled with the same mercury-like substance as Echo's species. "Show her," Maya encouraged. Ripple extended a tendril, merging briefly with the drone. The machine shimmered and then seemingly vanished. "Adaptive camouflage," Ripple explained, its voice bubbling with excitement. "Your drones are so flexible in their programming. We never thought to use our biometal this way." "Because you were too advanced," Dr. Torres said, making notes. "Sometimes the simplest solutions require a step backward to see them." The demonstration was interrupted by an urgent call. "Commander," Lieutenant Morris's voice crackled through the comm. "We've got a situation in Mining Complex B. One of the Meridian children went exploring in the maintenance shafts. We can't get readings through the mineral deposits." Reeves felt her heart skip. The Meridian species, like Nexus, could survive hard vacuum for short periods, but the mining complex's automated systems wouldn't recognize them as life forms. "Get me a link to the complex," she ordered, but Maya and Ripple were already moving. "Mom, the modified drones," Maya called out. "They can interface with both our systems and their biosignatures." What followed was a rescue operation unlike anything in human history. The construction drone, merged with Ripple's biometal, slipped through maintenance shafts too small for humans. Its hybrid sensors could detect both mechanical hazards and the unique energy patterns of Meridian physiology. They found the child curled up in an ore processor, its nebula eyes wide with fear. The drone, guided by Ripple's consciousness, merged with human engineering, created a safe passage through the automated systems. "This is what we came for," Sarah observed, its crystalline form reflecting the scene. "Not just protection, but innovation born of necessity." Reeves watched as the Meridian child was reunited with its family cluster, their fractal patterns synchronizing in what she'd learned was their expression of joy. Around them, humans and aliens worked together, each bringing their unique perspectives to solve problems neither species could handle alone. "Report from the Kuiper Belt outpost," Lieutenant Morris called out. "2 more refugee ships detected. They've heard about Safe Haven." Dr. Torres looked up from her tablet. "We're at capacity here, Commander. We'll need at least 3 more colony ships to handle an influx." Reeves thought about the chess game she'd watched Maya play. Sometimes the best move was the one that seemed impossible. Contact lunar shipyards. Tell them to pull out the mothballed ships, everything that can still hold atmosphere. Doctor, get your hybrid teams working on convergent protocols. The hegemony will notice ships that large moving, Sarah warned. "Good," Reeves replied, watching Maya and Ripple already sketching out modifications for more drones. "Let them see what happens when humanity decides to protect something. We're not hiding anymore." She turned to her assembled team, Human, Luminary, Vextal, and Meridian working side by side. "This isn't just about survival anymore. We're building something new here, a civilization that takes the best of all of us." As if to emphasize her point, another modified drone shimmered into visibility, its hybrid systems now also incorporating crystalline sensor arrays from Sarah's people. Impossible technology made possible because humans hadn't known it was impossible. The hegemony wanted order. They were about to learn that chaos, properly directed, could create something far more powerful. Hope. The celebration in the New Horizons converted cargo bay had been Maya's idea. A multicultural exchange, she'd called it, though Commander Reeves suspected her daughter just wanted to show off Earth's music to their new allies. The massive space throbbed with an unlikely mix of human classical music and crystalline harmonies from the Luminary. "They're adapting well," Lieutenant Morris observed, watching a group of human children teaching Ripple and other refugee youngsters the Macarena of all things. Their alien forms twisted in approximate human dance moves, creating an oddly beautiful display. The warning klaxons shattered the moment. Multiple signatures. Morris's voice shifted instantly to combat mode. Hegemony configurations. At least 30 ships. They must have been waiting in the Oort cloud. Reeves was already moving. All civilians to emergency shelters. Security teams to battle stations. She watched as human and alien parents quickly gathered their children, the practiced drill movements now seamlessly integrated across species. "Commander," Dr. Torres's voice crackled through her comm. "The hybrid weapons aren't ready. We needed another week. Then we'll have to improvise." Reeves reached the command center as the first images of the Hegemony fleet appeared. Their ships were perfect geometric shapes, moving in formations so precise they seemed computer-generated, which, she realized, they probably were. "Status of the maintenance drone fleet," she demanded. 200 units, fully modified with Vextol biometal and luminary sensors, Morris reported. "And the dock workers' rigs. 37 operational units, Mom." A crazy idea formed, the kind that had worked during the Jupiter defense. "Get me the dock foreman. Now." Minutes later, as the Hegemony fleet approached, Reeves addressed her improvised defense force. "They expect protocols. Formation attacks. What they're going to get is pure chaos." The plan was insane. The maintenance drones, cloaked with Vextol technology, would attach themselves to the Hegemony ships. Meanwhile, the dock workers' mechanical rigs, normally used for heavy lifting, would be piloted remotely as decoys. "Their targeting systems are based on recognizing military threats," Sarah explained, its crystalline form pulsing with battle data. "They may not even register maintenance equipment as weapons." The first wave of Hegemony ships entered range. Their transmission was cold, precise. "Surrender the evolutionary dead ends. Compliance will be rewarded." Reeves's response was to launch the attack. The dock rigs moved forward, their movements deliberately clumsy, drawing enemy fire. Behind them, invisible to Hegemony sensors, hundreds of hybrid drones slipped through space. The first explosion caught everyone by surprise. A Hegemony destroyer suddenly burst apart from within, its perfect geometrical form shattering as maintenance drones, merged with Vextol biometal, ate through its hull like mechanical parasites. "They can't compute it," Echo observed, its mercury surface reflecting the battle displays. "Their combat algorithms are trying to target military vessels that don't exist." More explosions followed. The dock rigs, piloted by workers who'd spent years maneuvering in tight spaces, proved remarkably hard to hit. Each time the Hegemony adapted their targeting, the humans would change patterns, moving in ways that defied tactical logic. "Their formation is breaking," Morris reported with disbelief. "They're actually retreating." But victory had come at a cost. Half the dock rigs were destroyed. Their brave pilots saved only by last-minute emergency ejections. Several drones were lost, each carrying a piece of Ripple's people's essence. The celebration that followed was subdued but significant. Human dock workers shared drinks with luminary engineers. Children of all species huddled together, comforting each other after the fear of battle. "We've made ourselves a target," Morris said quietly to Reeves. "They'll be back with a bigger fleet." "Good," Reeves replied, watching Maya help Ripple modify another drone. "Because we'll be ready. And next time, we won't just defend." She looked at the battle footage, at the perfect formation of Hegemony ships broken by impossible tactics. They wanted to eliminate chaos from the galaxy. Instead, they'd just discovered its power. Across the system, on encoded channels that the Hegemony couldn't detect, the news spread. Earth had won its first real battle. The sanctuary called Safe Haven had proven its name. The game had changed. The hunters had become the hunted. The training arena aboard the New Horizon had been completely transformed. What was once a standard exercise facility now hosted the strangest military academy in human history. Commander Reeves stood at the observation deck, watching the organized chaos below. In one corner, Master Sergeant Jackson, a veteran of Earth's Special Forces, guided a group of crystalline luminary through combat movements. "You're thinking too linearly," he called out. "Your crystalline structure can reflect energy in any direction. Use that. Make your opponent's strength your weapon." The luminary trainees shifted their forms, their faceted surfaces catching the light as they adapted human martial arts to their unique physiology. When one of them successfully redirected a training blast back at its source, Jackson's weathered face broke into a proud grin. "Mom, you've got to see this." Maya's excited voice drew Reeves to another section. There, her daughter and Ripple had organized what they called the Games Division. But it was far more than simple recreation. Children from all species were playing modified versions of Earth games. What looked like a chaotic mess was actually teaching crucial battle tactics. Dodgeball helped Meridian refugees practice energy deflection. Capture the Flag taught Vextal youth about stealth operations. Even the chess matches had evolved into complex, multi-dimensional strategy exercises. "Watch this," Maya said, pointing to a group playing a modified version of tag. They're learning to predict hegemony patrol patterns by trying to tag each other while following different rule sets. Dr. Torres approached, her tablet displaying new combat simulations. "The children's games are giving us ideas we never considered. The hegemony's tactical computers are based on mathematical perfection. But these games introduce controlled randomness that they can't predict." A commotion from the central training area drew their attention. ICO had challenged Earth's top hand-to-hand combat instructor to a demonstration match. The Vextal's liquid metal form flowed like quicksilver as it adapted human boxing techniques to its unique biology. "Outstanding," the instructor shouted as Echo successfully executed a modified roundhouse kick, its body morphing to extend the strike's range. "You're getting it. Combat isn't about following rules, it's about making your own." But the most remarkable transformation was happening in the strategy room. Sarah, speaking to a mixed group of human and alien tactical officers, was combining luminary quantum calculations with human intuition to create battle plans that existed in a space between logic and instinct. "Your species calls it gut feeling," Sarah explained, its crystalline form projecting battle scenarios. "We dismiss such instincts as primitive. But combined with our predictive matrices, the resulting tactical display showed maneuvers that looked like controlled madness. Exactly what they needed." "Commander," Lieutenant Morris called from the communication station. "We're receiving more distress signals. 3 more species asking for sanctuary and protection training." Reeves watched as a young Meridian, its nebula eyes swirling with concentration, perfectly mimicked human infiltration techniques by phasing its fractal patterns to match background radiation. "Send them the coordinates for our outer rally points, and notify the training staff. We'll need more instructors." "Already ahead of you," Maya said, gesturing to where Ripple was teaching other refugee children how to operate the hybrid drones. "We're creating training programs that combine all our species' strengths. The hegemony won't know what hit them." A cheer erupted from the combat area. The luminary trainee had mastered a perfect crystal-enhanced version of an Earth martial art throw, sending their sparring partner flying in a display of impossible geometries. "You know what's really driving the hegemony crazy?" Dr. Torres said, reviewing the latest intelligence. "They can't understand why supposedly primitive combat techniques are working against their advanced systems. Their entire philosophy is based on evolutionary superiority." Reeves smiled, watching the organized chaos of the training arena. Human boxers teaching liquid metal beings about momentum, crystalline warriors learning Earth guerrilla tactics, children's games evolving into battle strategies that could save the galaxy. "That's their weakness," she said. "They think evolution only moves in one direction. They forgot that sometimes the best way forward is to remember what you've left behind." In the arena below, The future of resistance was taking shape, one impossible lesson at a time. Solar surfing had been Maya's idea. As Commander Reeves watched the hybrid strike force approach the Hegemony detention facility, she had to admit, her daughter's crazy plan was working brilliantly. Human operators, wrapped in Vextol biometal armor, rode modified maintenance drones through the solar winds of a red dwarf star. Their crystalline luminary shields refracted the star's radiation, making them nearly invisible to hegemony sensors, the perfect marriage of human insanity and alien technology. "Strike Team Alpha, you're approaching the radiation threshold," Reeves called from the cloaked command ship. "Ripple, status on the biometal integrity." Holding at 97%, Ripple responded, its mercury form interfaced directly with the command systems. The human adaptation to extreme conditions is remarkable. The detention facility hung in space like a geometric tumor, a perfect dodecahedron, where the hegemony held inefficient species for processing. Intelligence suggested at least 3 new species were imprisoned inside. "Remember," Sarah's voice crystallized through the comm, "once we breach the outer shell, you'll have exactly 6 minutes before their adaptive algorithms recognize the pattern of attack. Then we'll give them 6 different patterns," responded Master Surgeon Jackson, leading the solar surfers. Maya, hit it. From hidden positions around the star's corona, dozens of modified refugee ships appeared. Their hulls, once elegant examples of advanced engineering, had been crudely retrofitted with Earth technology. To the hegemony sensors, they appeared to be malfunctioning, drifting on random vectors. The facility's defense grid activated, but its targeting computers struggled to lock onto ships that appeared to be moving by accident rather than design. In the confusion, the solar surfers struck. The first team, led by Jackson, breached the facility's hull using mining lasers modified with luminary focusing crystals. The second team, their biometal armor now mimicking hegemony security drones, infiltrated through the breach. Multiple life signs detected, Maya reported from her station, working alongside Ripple to coordinate the hybrid drone swarm. 3 levels down, heavy security protocols. "Show them what chaos really means," Reeves ordered. The rescue operation exploded into controlled mayhem. Human strike teams, enhanced with alien tech, moved in patterns that defied tactical logic. Luminary warriors used their crystalline forms to redirect hegemony energy weapons back at their sources. Vextol infiltrators flowed through security barriers like liquid mercury. But it was the prisoners themselves who delivered the final blow. Inspired by the impossible sight of multiple species fighting as one, they rose up against their captors. The hegemony's perfect protocols crumbled in the face of spontaneous, multi-species rebellion. 4 minutes until algorithm adaptation, Sarah warned. "Won't need it." Jackson's voice crackled through static. "Package secured. All prisoners freed. You should see this, Commander. We've got at least 5 new species here, and they're all asking about Earth." The retreat was as chaotic as the attack. Refugee ships, now piloted by newly freed prisoners, scattered in seemingly random directions, except each course had been carefully plotted to confuse hegemony pursuit vectors. Back aboard the command ship, Reeves watched the facility's perfect geometric form crack and burn. Damage assessment. 2 solar surfers lost. Crews safely ejected. 3 refugee ships damaged but operational. Morris paused. "Commander, the freed prisoners are asking to begin training immediately. They want to learn how to fight back." Maya looked up from her tactical display, her eyes bright with purpose. "I'll start modifying the training programs. Ripple's already working on adapting the biometal interfaces for the new species." Reeves studied the battlefield displays. The hegemony's response ships were arriving, but they were too late. Their perfect formation stood in stark contrast to the apparent chaos of the retreating fleet, a chaos that concealed a deeper order, born of humanity's most primitive and powerful instinct, the drive to protect others. "Send word to Safe Haven," she ordered. "Tell them to prepare for new arrivals, and get me Earth Command. It's time to expand our operation. The hegemony wanted to hunt down inefficient species. She smiled as another perfect facility exploded behind them. Let's show them how inefficient we can be. The Liberation fleet jumped to safety, carrying with it the seeds of a growing revolution. The hunters had become the hunted, and chaos was their weapon of choice. The hegemony's capital system was a monument to geometric perfection. 7 planets orbited their star in exact circular patterns, each terraformed to identical specifications. At the heart of this mathematical prophecy waited their command sphere, a perfect orb of impossibly smooth metal. Commander Reeves stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Defiance, watching her impossible fleet take position. Refugee ships of a dozen species, their elegant designs now bristling with crude human modifications. Crystalline luminary vessels that bent light around them. Vextile ships that shifted like liquid metal. And at their core, humanity's primitive vessels, held together by determination and spot wells. The hegemony's broadcasting. Mom. Maya's voice carried from her tactical station, where she and Ripple coordinated their hybrid drone swarms. They're calling it the final protocol. The message spreading across all frequencies was cold, precise. Contaminated species will be purged. Order will be restored. Resistance is mathematically impossible. Good thing we're terrible at math, Reeves replied. All ships, execute Operation Beautiful Chaos. The battle erupted like a symphony of impossible physics. Solar surfers, now veterans of countless raids, rode stellar winds between enemy formations. Luminary crystal ships refracted weapon beams in patterns that turned hegemony targeting systems against themselves. Vextile vessels morphed into perfect copies of enemy ships, creating battlefield confusion that no algorithm could unravel. They're adapting. Lieutenant Morris called out as the hegemony fleet shifted strategies. New attack pattern forming. Now, Maya. The trap was sprung. The supposedly damaged refugee ships in the rear, Trojan horses carrying Earth's best boarding teams, activated their hybrid drives. Space itself seemed to hiccup as they performed maneuvers that violated every rule of proper combat. Inside the hegemony command sphere, alarms blared as human-alien hybrid teams breached their perfect defenses. Master Sergeant Jackson led the charge, his team moving with practiced chaos that sent hegemony security drones into computational loops. Their core AI is trying to calculate our next move, Sarah reported, its crystalline form interfaced with the hybrid command systems. But the children's games, they've created too many variables. Echo's liquid metal form rippled with battle data. They cannot compute the outcomes. There are too many species working together in too many inefficient ways. The hegemony's response was devastating. Entire sectors of space began to warp as they activated their purge protocols. But they had never faced an enemy that welcomed chaos. All ships, execute the Ripple maneuver, Reeves ordered. Every vessel in the Alliance fleet began to move in patterns derived from children's games, tag, dodgeball, hide and seek, translated into three-dimensional space warfare. The hegemony's targeting computers, trying to predict movements based on perfect tactical doctrine, went into cascade failure. Mom. Maya's voice cut through the battle noise. The command sphere. Their shields are fluctuating. Reeves saw their chance. All ships, convergence pattern delta. Just like we practiced. Show them what chaos can do. The Alliance fleet moved as one impossibly coordinated mob. Refugee ships performed maneuvers that their designers would have sworn were impossible. Human vessels used mining equipment as weapons in ways that defied logic. Hybrid drones swarmed in patterns based on playground games. The hegemony command sphere, the perfect geometric heart of their empire, cracked like an egg. In the aftermath, as Alliance ships secured the system, Reeves stood in the hegemony's central command chamber. Their tactical displays still showed the final battle, trying desperately to calculate how they had lost to such primitive tactics. Orders, Commander, Morris asked. Reeves watched as Maya and Ripple coordinated refugee ships bringing in survivors. even some hegemony crew who had chosen chaos over perfect order. "Send word to all Alliance worlds," she said. "Tell them the hunt is over. And tell them." She smiled, watching human and alien children already playing in the corridors of their captured prize. "Tell them that chaos has won." In the space above, the Alliance fleet hung in decidedly imperfect formation. A new galactic order was born, one built not on mathematical precision, but on the beautiful chaos of different species choosing to stand together. The Outcasts had become the protectors, and the galaxy would never be the same.